Three people
said you
allowed
got
one blast.
And her dad went all the way to Australia.
This is going to be the most exciting night of my life.
Hiya, I'm Sara Sheridan, and this is Eyes and Lies by Sophie L. 1 million years in the future, and depending on your emotion, your eye colour changed. Red equals anger, green equals happy, blue equals sad, etc. But one day, Dave Dumb, a 22-year-old dude, went to the shops and the cashier laughed at his name. His eyes went black and white, and that had never happened before. Started freaking out, and eventually they had to call the nun FBI. Nuns took him into questioning, and his lawyer told him to shut up because lawyers are smart and he is dumb. Ha, get it? Once he finally got out of questioning, they took him to the Kardashian hospital, the most expensive plastic surgeons, to get his eyes changed back to permanent grey, so it looked like he was bored. But after the surgery, he felt bored, and he started trying to learn more about his eyes. He found out that his eyes controlled his emotions, not the other way round. He tried telling the doctors to change his eyes to a better colour, but they called him crazy. Instead, they gave him a reality TV show because they are never boring. But after 2 episodes, it got cancelled because he was so boring. He knew he had to change something because now he had no friends, no job, and no money. So he got Sharpies, went to a mirror and thought to himself, what a stupid idea. So he went to a back alley marketplace and got Sketchy Steve to do it. Steve butchered the job, but Dave didn't mind because his eyes were green, even though he was half blind. He was still happy. The end.
From the book Outsiders, stories written by S1 pupils at Broughton High School. Earth in the Future by Pedro M. We have hope. We can turn this around. That's what people thought about 50 years ago, before Earth turned into absolute chaos, technology took over, and rich people just moved away to other planets. Earth was nearly underwater. The UK, Florida, Russia, just a few examples. Aliens were forced to move away from their planet so the rich had space for their huge houses, and aliens ended up living on Earth. I was supposed to be lucky. That's what Dad says. My dad is the mayor of the biggest and only city left on Earth. The people at my school don't really care that I'm the mayor's daughter. They just make fun of me because I look a bit different from everyone else. They say I'm an alien, they say I don't belong here, and that I should go back to where I came from. Dad says it's all nonsense, but I'm starting to think if I am an actual alien and Dad has just been lying to me this whole time. Dad normally has to go to work in the middle of the night, and I have to stay alone in our big, old wooden house. He always says to never, ever, ever go into his room, but I can get curious, so I go in sometimes, but there's never anything interesting in there. But this time, when I went in, there was an open cupboard that was always locked. I went to take a look, and there was a photograph of Dad with a little girl, and the girl was an alien, and Dad hated aliens, and on the corner it was saying, Baby Greta. I was shocked. My whole life was a lie. How could Dad lie to me all this time? I got my school bag, I took a packet of cookies, some water, and I left home, leaving nothing but a note. I didn't know where I would run to, but if it was far away from those horrible people, I was going to be happy. It was getting dark and cold, and I was having second thoughts if leaving the house was such a good idea. Dad would probably be freaking out by now, so I just took a cookie, took a sip of water, and I kept on going. Suddenly, I heard someone shouting, Greta! Where are you? It was the cops. I ran as fast as I ever did in my life. I turned into a dark, narrow alley. No one was going to find me there. I looked around and I saw aliens. Aliens that were suffering so much. Everyone was also looking at me as if I was a monster. It was very wet and cold. It was like I wasn't wearing a jacket. And I went up to someone and I asked where we were and why everyone was looking at me so badly. But no one ever answered. They just looked at me worse and worse. Sirens never stopped. They just got louder and louder. I just didn't understand why no one spoke or escaped. It was like they were trapped there. I felt like I had to do something, or else they were going to find us and who knows what they'll do to us. So I piled up some boxes, went on top of them, took a deep breath and said, look, everyone, I know none of you like me, but we have to work together or else we'll never get out of here. Everyone looked at me, but this time they looked at me with hope, as if I could help them and they could trust me. We're in, said everyone. I was very happy, but how could we fight against the mayor? Maybe we didn't need to. Maybe we just had to make him scared so he could give up and respect everyone equally. I started asking everyone to ask all of their friends to meet us in front of the mayor's house next week. The days passed, the big day came, and I had never been more nervous. When we got there was a giant crowd of aliens, and I said, everybody go in the house. The first room I went to was Dad's office. When I got there, he was looking at me really scared, and I asked him one question. Why do you mistreat aliens? He didn't answer. Give aliens the same respect you use on me, or else we will destroy this house. He nodded and he said, I'm going to respect everyone, I promise. 10 years from all that, and now I have the best life I ever wished for. Aliens now finally have a free life, a life with hope. And I have the best job ever, Earth Saver. It means we try to unflood some places so Earth has a bigger population. This crazy adventure was the best thing that ever happened to me because now I have hope of what Earth in the future is going to be.
Gate in Alabama by Thomas L. I slowly stepped out of my door and out of nowhere a rock whisked past my head and someone yelled "Bender" at me. In a flash I slammed my door briskly shut. I ran into my living room and hid behind a tartan Parker Knoll chair that my gran left for me in her will. I can't understand why I have this stupid big beacon above my head whenever I look in the mirror. And second, why does everyone hate and abuse me? But at least if I put my hood up you can't see the beacon, and if I put it up it doesn't show through. Whenever I go out for anything I need to put something on my head, which doesn't happen often because I normally order on Amazon and Deliveroo. A funny story about a Deliveroo person is once, a few years ago, someone came to me with a hood up in the rain and I could see a sliver of blue luminous light above his head. I tried to ask him about it, but he just ran away from me. Smash, clatter. Someone threw a rock through my window with a note attached to it that reads, "Do everyone a favour and kill yourself." Most people would be sad beyond contempt, but I get these all the time, so nothing out of the ordinary. Buzz. I check my phone. Oh no, it's an email from Amazon. No shipping for the next 2 weeks. I'll have to go to the shops. I pulled my hat down over my head and went to the shops and left the door. It was 10 o'clock, so no one was outside my house. I ran for like 2 miles to the shop. When I got there, I was out of breath, and out of nowhere, someone threw a brick at my head. The next thing I know is I'm in hospital, and my parents are standing beside me weeping onto a tissue. They both said they were sorry for abandoning me when I was young, when I told them I was gay.
Nut Smugglers by Dale Z. It was a sunny day in Brooklyn, America, 2019. The local nut dealer Gerald the Squirrel, aka Fluffy G, was just walking around selling his nuts and making money. He came across his most frequent buyer and started doing business with him. His name was Ollie. He was the average dog. Average owner. Nothing unusual about him. Fluffy was just about finished doing business with Ollie. Within a blink of an eye, the local tough dog, Tank, comes running around the corner, shouting at Fluffy G, saying he owes him money, and started to threaten to bite him. Tank didn't catch him, but he was still on the lookout. The pigeons had been on the lookout for Fluffy G. Fluffy G has been wanted for months. He'd been selling nuts for 5 years and has been wanted ever since he got put in jail for robbing a bank 7 years ago. He escaped 2 years later, but because he's wanted to sell nuts. He harvests them from the tree in an alleyway with a little patch of grass that has a nut tree. A very small nut tree that grows the best nuts in Brooklyn. 2 weeks after Fluffy got chased by Tank, Ollie had explained that Fluffy didn't owe him anything and he was a good guy. Fluffy agreed to supply Tank with nuts for whenever he needed them. Ollie, Tank and Fluffy arranged a meeting in Tank's hut. After a while of talking, they decided to start a business called the Nut Smugglers. They started the businesses in Tank's house because his owner was never home, so they started working. Fluffy G started harvesting, Ollie was packaging, and Tank was telling people that the business started up, so they got more people to buy their nuts. A few days later, and the money started to rise, and they became rich. But people started to get jealous. The pigeons came to Fluffy's house and arrested him because Ollie and Tank told the pigeons and acted like they didn't help. The end.